previous video I was going through the minor pentatonic, well, more like the blues scale shapes and patterns in open D tuning, but I was not using the slide then. However, this video is about giving you some ideas how you can utilize those shapes, scales or patterns with the slide. And I thought it would be the best to illustrate or demonstrate it with one lick. It is a great lick because it basically just is a descending lick on the minor pentatonic scale, starting on your root, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3 or minor 3, and then again your root note. Now, although I do introduce some variations, so I do change the lick around a little bit depending on which position I'm playing in, that's not what I would like to discuss. Because you can get that from the tab, which by the way is downloadable if you support the channel on patreon.com/blueswillismusic. So what I would like to talk about is how these different shapes make you, well, not just sound better or different, but play the same lick differently, even when you're playing the same notes. And this is very important because blues playing is 99% about phrasing, and that is very true for slide as well. So it's in the details, it's the nuances, and I think thinking in terms of these shapes and how to play the same lick in different shapes will help you make it a little bit more, give a little bit more spice to your playing. So let's start with a simple example. So the lick is, which is a really convenient way to start because you have a connection point right here at the 3rd fret of both the 3rd and the 2nd string. So that is the 101 blues lick. Anyway, so my point is, it is an easy transition here because those notes are basically right on top of each other. But if you were to play the same lick on a different string set, it already sounds different because the gauges of those strings. So obviously, the lower you're on the fretboard, the thicker, fatter the sound will be. But the other thing is, this shape is laid out differently, so the notes are laid out differently in this shape because you don't have this connection point here, but these two notes, the flat 7 and the 5th, are laid out like this in this other shape. So the 7th fret on the 4th string and the 6th on the 3rd string. So there's a jump which you can approach two different ways, or if you're not totally separating them with pick blocking or muting. So either you can basically slide up a little or slide up on the 3rd string, or you can do the same on the 4th string. Some can argue that this is already a different lick, but I think it's sort of the same, played a little bit differently. But you can take it one step further. So as you can see, we have this other connection point here at the 6th fret. It's not as strong as this one or this that we'll get to in a minute, but we can change strings on the 6th fret between the 3rd and the 4th string, which makes it more bluesy because this note right here, the 6th fret of the 4th string, D string, is the blue note or the blues note. So now you can play this instead of. Sounds a little bit different. And it takes us to another very important lick you need to learn in open D tuning, or basically just a slide in any tuning. That was a little bit flat up there, but I hope you get the point. You might have noticed a couple of seconds ago that I jumped up to another connection point back at the second and the third string right here at the 8th fret. Now the cool thing about this is it is connecting your root note with your minor third, and that is the only place they are on top of each other. So if you want to play those same notes in different positions, you have to do something like this, or here's 1 fret difference, 2 frets of difference, but here at the 8th fret they right on top of each other, which is convenient because you can do licks like this pretty easy. Now you can play the same thing here. Sounds different because of the open string, or if you wanna come back here, that's I think too big of a jump, doesn't feel that comfortable, doesn't sound that great. You can modify it to include or imply the major third. That's again different. In that case I would use this shape, but I would use this for this more minor sounding lick, because that's basically those are the 3 first notes of the minor scale. Now another cool thing is to basically here you can slide in, you can slide into your root note. You can do it right here as well, but you have to fret behind the slide. Same here. So if you don't want to fret behind the slide, and then you can add vibrato to both really smoothly. So what else can you do in this shape? Well, we added the blue note, blues note right here, so why don't we do the same thing here as well? So here's a lick I like to play. Something like this. The main part is, so you play the root note in 2 different positions, here and here as well. And you could play this lead out to 1 string, but again sounds differently. So that is just another example, and I almost forgot to tell you that I like this position because it's a good substitute, or an easier, more convenient substitute for that classic Dwayne Allman solo. Solo Billy Gibbons, the regular bottleneck. So a lot of the bottleneck licks are taking place right here, but now we can move them down here because there's just 1 fret difference instead of the 2 right here, and again there isn't a one fret difference here, but they're right on top of each other. So this is something to experiment around. So the connection points so far were at the 3rd fret, 8th fret, and of course you got one at the 12th fret. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because that is the shape everyone knows. The last thing I would like to quickly talk about is how to not get stuck in these boxes. I think we all know that that is the biggest disadvantage of the pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic, that we learn the shapes, but then we kind of get stuck in those boxes. And I'm not gonna show you any revolutionary breakup techniques adding, I don't know, funky outside lines or anything. I just want you to think about how can you combine the different shapes, and the slide is going to be very helpful. So because with the slide we often do horizontal lines, so we lay out the given scale on just 1 string horizontally. It gives us a nice and easy escape route to move between these shapes, and that way you won't be boxed in this sort of shape that we usually do. So let's take that horizontal highway. Obviously, you could play these at the end of the road, but you can take a lot of exits on the way. jamming around, fooling around, but I tried to demonstrate that there are a lot of opportunities for you to steer off that highway. There are a lot of exits you can take, so try to do that, and try not only doing that on the first string, but maybe start on the second as well. For example, right? So these are just some random ideas. I didn't prepare with any nice licks to do that, because I want you to think about it. I don't want to give you specific licks, or I think I gave you this. Or something like that. So take that as an example and then start thinking of what I showed you. Try to combine the shapes, and of course, if you have any questions, I do give sort of Skype or Zoom lessons, but I'm happy to answer any comments down below. So let me know, how is it going for you? I mean, in terms of learning this, or was it useful, or what would you like to hear about in the future regarding slide playing, bottleneck playing, open D tuning, and so on. So thank you very much for watching. I'm really hoping that this is helpful and opening up some new ways for you in your slide playing.